This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face. You with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game. Talk trash all you want. To me, it's all the same. You won't leave with much when you come in second place. And I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gonna cry to your mama, cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello everyone and welcome to the HPT. My name is Jaymz Larson, joined by professional poker player and 3-time WSOP bracelet champ, Mr. Dutch Boyd. And Dutch, this week we're smack dab in the middle of the Heartland, right outside of Des Moines, Iowa. This is Altoona, Iowa at the Prairie Meadows Racetrack Casino Hotel. Looking forward to a great night.
Yeah, me too. I think that we're going to see some really good poker action at the tables today.
And this is our 4th time coming to Prairie Meadows, and we've given away already just over $925,000 in prize money. So I think it's time to head down to the felt, jump right into it, meet our players, take a look at the chip counts, and most importantly, let's go ahead and take a look at that prize money. And up top, just over $69,000. Not a bad payday.
It's a great payday. That's a lot of money. Solve a lot of problems. Now you look at 9th place, $7,672. I mean, that's pretty good too for a $1,600 buy-in.
Let's go ahead and take a look at these chip counts now. And leading the pack is Ku Vang.
And he's had some success here on the HPT. I would think that Ku actually took second in this very same event, right? So a little a little bit of a hometown champion right here. And he's got a lot of chips. I mean, it's really 133 big blinds. It's just kind of a testament to the good structure at all the Heartland poker tours that you can have a final table where the chip leader has 133 and the smallest stack is still 25 bigs. I mean, this is a lot of play.
And Dutch, it's taken us years to figure out, what structure is going to work. And we went to somebody that knows a little bit about structures, Daniel Negreanu, and we changed it, and it's been great. The players, they see me in the hotel, they say, James, love this structure, and it's great. It's perfect. Matt is going to raise it to $22,000 with a suited up 8-6.
Look at this. You got to like a guy, Matt, who under the gun +2 decided to just go ahead and come on in with 8-6 suited. I mean, a full table. He's not here to move up to 6th or 7th place. He's definitely, this is a pretty aggressive move. And I think he must be looking around the table trying to take advantage of some of these other guys who must be looking at like $26,000 for third and thinking, well, that's going to pay off a mortgage.
The flop comes 8-5-4. It's a rainbow.
It's pretty interesting because, Matt raising with 8-6 suited, he doesn't really have to connect with the flop here to make a continuation bet. The fact that he actually does hit top pair with a gut shot straight draw just makes this, C-bet continuation bet a little bit easier on him. But, I mean, he had a plan with the hand, and his plan was to go ahead and C-bet any flop. It looks like Steve knows that. He must have a plan too. It almost looks like he's going to do some sort of out-of-position float here.
Steve Pham from Omaha, Nebraska. This is his first HPT event.
Yeah, so this could get interesting because I don't think that Steve is making that call on the flop with a plan of hitting his 6 outer and folding, if he doesn't. I think that he must have some sort of plan to try to take it.
Queen of Spades is the turn card. Steve checks, and then Matt bets $34,000, so action back to Steve Pham.
Yeah, look at this.
Look at this.
I mean, what we did see here was, in fact, exactly what I said, an out-of-position float.
80.
So Steve making the defend, and his plan here is not just to catch a king or a jack. His plan the whole time is to call out of position, then check raise on the turn. And this looks scary. If you're Matt, what is a guy slow playing on that flop?
And the river card is the 9 of clubs.
So here you got Steve with absolutely nothing, king high. He's got to make a bet. He's got to tell a convincing story here.
80.
He makes it 80,000, which is not going to do it.
And this is basically an easy call for Matt.
It's a very easy call because here Matt is looking at Steve value betting an ace-5, ace-4. So Steve would actually get Matt off of like an ace-7, ace-6, ace-king, ace-jack kind of hand, but he's not getting him off of an 8 here.
We'll have more exciting final table action. Don't go too far. You're watching the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT. It's Jaymz Larson, joined by professional poker player Dutch Boyd, coming to you from Altoona, Iowa, right here at Prairie Meadows. And as you see, Ku Vang still leading things, Dutch.
Yeah, but Matt is the one moving up after that hand with Steve. I like the unorthodox line there. You know, Steve making an out-of-position float, check-raising the turn. I mean, that was a pretty creative line and, showed kind of an advanced little, level of thinking there. It just didn't work out, and the story he told wasn't convincing anybody.
Action folded to Ku. He's going to fold. Now over to Rick. I love that Skid Row shirt.
Did you hear that? The whole card snap with the pocket nines. We got Michael coming out with that raise there.
So is that a tell? The snap?
It is actually. A lot of times you're going to be able to pick up on hand strength by the way they look at their cards, and in particular the way that they release their cards onto the felt.
And now action over to Paul in the 9th. This could spell trouble for him as he looks down at pocket sevens. Probably not a position where you're going to 3-bet, right?
Well, I might 3-bet here because I think when he calls, he's really just turning his hand into a set money opportunity, and he's inviting that big blind to come in.
By the way, Paul McCaffrey, this is crazy. You talk about running red hot. This is his second final table in the last 2 events. Just last week, the guy final tabled at the Stratosphere and got 5th place. He's hoping to improve on that today. The flop is Jack 6 tray. It's a rainbow.
And I got to think Paul is not going to just check fold here. I mean, he started the hand with around 28 big blinds.
Now, Michael checks. That's a little curious.
Oh,
hello.
Wow.
Hello, 9 of diamonds there on the turn.
So, I mean, this is kind of a disaster for Paul. Paul now, in his head, Michael has overcards. So he's going to go ahead and try to push the ace-queen or the king-queen off of the hand, maybe even get a little bit of value out of a smaller pocket pair. And hopefully Michael just makes the call here.
Paul bets 35,000 chips, and Michael does make the call.
So he's not going to let Paul off the line. And I really like just making that call.
The river is the 8 of diamonds, so the action will start with Paul.
And Paul's probably just going to go ahead and make the check. Michael should be going for max value here, somewhere around half pot, 65, 70,000 maybe even. He goes for 55. I think that Michael probably leaving about 15,000 on the table here, but this bet's going to get called.
And Paul does make the call. We're going to flip over the cards.
And there you see Paul not really happy about it, but Paul actually lost kind of the minimum on this hand. He would have lost a lot more had he tried to 3-bet it. Then again, he might have 3-bet and been able to move Michael off of it on that jack-high flop, too.
Yeah, I always have to remind whoever's in the booth and the folks at home, it is a little easier for us. We got the monitors, we got the whole cards, and that's what we love.
Oh, it's so much easier when you can see what they have to know what the right decision is. And, we can criticize and critique plays all day. At the end of it, these guys are the ones who made it here. And we don't really know what's going on in their mind. A lot of times a really good play and a really bad play is the same play, just made for much, much different reasons.
All right, Dutch, the price of poker going up. As you can see, blinds now 6,000, 12,000 with a 2K ante. Coming to you from Altoona, Iowa, right here at the Prairie Meadows Racetrack Casino Hotel.
This is one thing I like about the structure, too, is you notice that there's a different ratio between the small blind and the ante. The last blind level, we were looking at 5K, 10K with a 1K ante. Now we're looking at a 2K ante, so the ante doubles, 3-to-1 ratio. That means that players have to start playing really aggressively here.
All right, to catch you up to speed, Michael raises to 26,000 with ace-queen of clubs, but now a 3-bet by Travis, as he's supposed to do here with ace-king. So now Jonathan with a 4-bet shove.
And that's really big, 37 big blinds all in. I mean, it's almost kind of a timid shove, really. It's him just trying to claim the equity in the hand. He's got a huge hand, but he really is dreading getting called because getting knocked out ninth here is just such a disaster. So it's almost like he's afraid of a flop.
Gotta love turning.
Michael gets out of the way, a little easier decision for him, but Travis looking down at ace-king.
And Travis, I mean, he's not at risk of walking away, so he makes the call hoping that it's a coin flip. And it is. He says enough there. He says, I'm hoping that it's a race, and it is a race.
And look at that. The flop, ace-9-7, couple of diamonds. So Travis outflops Jonathan.
And Jonathan's just got to be sick about that. He's going to be out the door. This is why he made the ship so he wouldn't have to fade those 3 cards.
But still a couple cards left in the deck. There are 2 queens that he can catch. That's not one of them. The 5 of spades comes on the turn.
It's really going to take a miracle here. 2 outs, or Jonathan's going to be out the door with 7,000, and he just has to feel just sick about it.
Travis loves the spot that he is in here. One more card, and we go to that river. And it's the deuce of hearts, so that is going to do it for Jonathan Hanner, the Air Force veteran from St. Paul, Minnesota. Congratulations to him going home with just over $7,600. Dutch,
do you like the shove there with the queens?
Well, he got so much in pre-flop, 40-something big blinds. It's almost like he's begging his opponents not to call him. I think that he must feel really disappointed. That was a lot to get in there. He had the best hand, so you can't fault him. Sometimes those pocket queens just don't show you any love.
Yeah, nobody wants to be the first one eliminated, but unfortunately for Jonathan, he's going out in 9th place. When we come back, we have 8 players remaining, and we'll find out who our new champion is going to be. Don't go too far. You're watching the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT. It's Jaymz Larson and professional poker player Dutch Boyd as we're broadcasting from Altoona, Iowa, right here at the Prairie Meadows Racetrack Casino Hotel. Before we get back to the action, you've won 3 World Series of Poker bracelets. Now, out of those 3, was there one that is more memorable, and which one was your favorite out of the 3?
Well, yes, I would say that the first one is always the best one. The first time you can break through, and you actually have a championship, something to show people. I can compete with the best and hold my own. That's really special. And I think it's the same for every poker championship, whether it be a World Series or an HPT. I mean, this is the same kind of feeling. One person is breaking through today, maybe for the first time. There's nothing like that first big score, that big win.
Absolutely. Well, tonight we're not playing for a WSOP bracelet, but we are playing for an HPT title, and one of these lucky players will go home with just over $69,000.
So we see Travis seeing a real big jump there after eliminating Jonathan with that ace-king call. A tough call to make, really. I mean, even if you know that you're a coin flip, you're putting so much in the middle.
Blinds are 6,000, 12,000 with a 2K ante. Again, you're seeing the players talking, they're laughing, they're smiling. I know they're very nervous, but it looks like they're having a little fun, Dutch.
Well, every single one of them sees the potential of an HPT championship and $69,000 in the bank. So, I mean, at this point, they must be feeling pretty happy.
And look at this. Paul's going to shove all in. He only has 8 big blinds, so he's got Queen Jack. Probably what he has to do in this spot.
I mean, it's either a shove or fold spot, and you saw he was a lot happier before he heard Matt make the call there with his ace-jack suited. So Rick looking down here with ace-king offsuit, and you'd really expect him to be making an isolation raise here. Go ahead and try to push Matt out of the hand, or at least make the call and go ahead and gang up with Matt against Paul.
Wow, he threw it away, Dutch.
I can't believe it. I really can't believe that he makes the fold.
As he folded, he says, "I'm such a nit," and he folded the cards into the middle.
And in fact, I mean, like, if you're going to throw away ace-king offsuit in this spot, I mean, like, what are you waiting for? Like, I just can't believe that he makes the fold there.
Wow. So Matt Alexander with ace-jack of clubs going up against Paul's queen-jack. There's the flop, 10-5 tray rainbow.
So this is really bad for Paul. I mean, he's sitting here with a 3-outer. Even he would much rather be against Rick's ace-king than being in a dominating position here.
220,000 chips in the pot. 5 of hearts comes on the turn.
This is going to do it, and you can see, I mean, his demeanor is completely changed. He looks pretty disappointed. Wow. $9,000 is, I mean, it's a good payday, but when you get knocked out, it's always the worst case scenario.
The river card is the 6 of clubs, and that is going to do it for Paul McCaffrey. Congratulations to him for making another final table, which is quite a feat, and winning just over $9,000. But Dutch, you just said it. You don't make it this far, you want to become our next HPT champion. Really, nothing short of first is not going to be acceptable to anybody.
It really is one of the rubs of poker, is every time you get knocked out, it's always the worst case scenario. If someone were to have come up to Paul and offered him 8th place on day 1, hand 1, he'd be thrilled with it. But every time you get knocked out of a poker tournament, you're always framing it as in, I just got 8th out of 8th. I just got 7th out of 7 remaining. It's always the worst case scenario. And it always feels worse the deeper you go and the closer you get to that HPT championship and the top prize.
Matt Alexander is going to raise to 33,000 with ace king. Roger's going to come along for the ride with a suited up king queen. King queen, I see this on our show. I sometimes feel it's overplayed. There's a lot of amateurs. They look at king queen and they think, wow, I got a great hand.
Well, especially here, you got Matt raising in pretty early position, but I mean, we've already seen Matt showing a willingness to raise with 8 high. King queen suited is, usually it's a hand that you kind of know where you are, but a lot of times you are going to be in a dominated spot where you can hit your top pair and get into kicker trouble. I mean, this is one of those spots where if Roger does hit a king, he's going to be out the door.
And Rick wakes up with pocket threes. He makes the call, and Travis is going to come along for the ride as well. So 4 players to the flop, and it comes out Jack 8-7 rainbow. Travis will be first to act. He caught a piece of that.
And it is just a piece, though, middle pair. I don't think he's going to really feel too comfortable against 3 opponents.
And Matt reaching for chips for a continuation bet with his ace-king. Matt's had so much success on the HPT. He won this thing, well, back in 2010, just under 50,000, and plays a lot of poker, very well respected in the poker community.
Such an aggressive bet here. I mean, you're up against 3 opponents, and he still makes that continuation bet with just an ace high.
He's a great poker player, and he's got a lot of experience.
And this is going to be really, really tough for Travis. I don't think that Matt's going to lay off the gas pedal here.
Turn card is the 9 of hearts. So once again,
this is a good card for Matt, because this actually makes it even harder for Travis to call.
Travis is first. He's going to check over to Matt Alexander. That's what you're going to get out of Matt Alexander. You don't see much more than what he looks like right there. He's got great table presence and great demeanor. River card is the 10 of clubs.
And this is just a really weird spot. We'll see if Matt goes ahead and tries to just take it, but it's going to be a split if he doesn't. I think that if I'm in Matt's spot, I think this is a pretty good opportunity to show the power of position. I mean, here he goes ahead and tries to take a stab at it, and he takes it.
It's going to work. Brilliant.
He takes it. So Matt was never ahead in this hand. At the end, they finally he catches up to a split. He did, in fact, have a straight.
He did, in fact, have a straight.
He's not lying, but this is the power of position right there, and you can tell he's actually kind of happy and surprised that that bluff worked out.
All right, blinds 8,000, 16,000 with a 2K ante. Jaymz Larson, Dutch Boyd, coming to you from Altoona, Iowa, Prairie Meadows. Now over to Koo. Nice little hand there, pocket 8s.
Koo in the cutoff. You got to take a stab at just taking those blinds and antes, especially with that high ante up there. He does. He comes over with a 33,000 raise in the cutoff.
Now it's folded over to Michael Hahn from Indianapolis, Indiana.
It's a tricky hand in the small blind. You can't really fold this hand, so the only question is, do you call or do you go ahead and 3-bet and try to push out the big blind and set yourself up for a continuation bet on the flop?
He is going to 3-bet. It's going to go to 93,000. You're correct. The big blind folds. Now back to the original raiser of Koo.
And I like the amount by Michael here. I mean, he's making it enough that Koo can just fold if he was on air. Instead, Koo actually has a pretty good hand here with pocket 8. So he's got position. He's going to go ahead and see how the hand develops, and you can kind of see he's looking over at his man and just like, let's see what happens.
Flop comes 2 trays and a deuce.
Then this is a good flop for Koo against what he's putting Michael on.
Action will start with Michael.
So Michael does continue here, but you'll see he bets out a little bit less than he made it pre-flop. So that's not really going to tell Koo a convincing story. Michael doesn't really know if this is a bluff or a value bet, really, because if Koo didn't start with a pocket pair, Michael actually is ahead of Koo.
The bet is 82,000, and Koo makes the call. Now the turn card, the 7 of diamonds. Talk about position in poker, because I think people forget how important position truly is.
Position is really important in poker, but I'll tell you what's even more important is initiative, aggression, right? If you have the pre-flop aggression, then a lot of times that's actually even better than having position, because it sets you up, as the pre-flop aggressor, it sets you up for those profitable C-bet opportunities, and you can really take the lead on the hand. So what's even more important than position is aggression, but position allows you to go ahead and get that last river bet if you're check 2, like we saw previously when they both had the straight. Pretty much whoever has the position there is going to be able to take that pot.
Michael's happy with this river card. The ace of hearts falls, and he's going to bet $138,000.
And this is a sick river card for Koo.
He's going to make the
He
call.
He makes the call. He's not happy about it.
And he's going to see that that river card did him in right there, the ace of hearts, and the pot of $656,000 going to the hands of Michael Hahn.
Before we go to commercial break, the thing to talk about there is we lost one more player as Paul goes out in 8th place.
Yeah, pretty brutal. He got short stacked. Not too much he can do. You just got to pick a hand and go with it. He went with the queen jack offsuit, got himself into a dominating position. Never fun. Never fun going out into that parking lot.
No, it is. It's fun to go to the cashier, though, once you've actually shook it off. Go to the cashier and get paid. That's what Paul did, and when we come back, we will have more exciting final table coverage. He's Dutch Boyd. I'm Jaymz Larson. Don't go too far.
Welcome back to the HPT. I'm Dutch Boyd with Jaymz Larson. We are here at Prairie Meadows Racetrack Casino Hotel with $69,000 up top.
Yeah, a nice little payday for our HPT champion.
Dutch, it's nice having you in the booth.
It's great to be here. So we look at Roger now as the short stack. He's from my home state of Missouri, right underneath Iowa, with 5 big blinds. He doesn't look like he's too happy here.
So you're from the Heartland, too. I didn't know you were from Missouri. You're from the Heartland.
That's right. He's right in the middle, born and raised. And, I mean, you look at Roger, he's really just kind of looking for any spot here. 5 big blinds, and he is the big blind. This is probably going to be his swan song here. We haven't really seen what he's looking at, but with 5 big blinds, you just can't wait around for aces anymore. I mean, you're going to have to go ahead and take a stand with any hand.
And we're going to start with Koo raising to $32,000 with a suited up ace deuce. And it's folded around now to Travis. Looks down at 10-8.
Love the hat. Dirt ball. 10-8 is probably it's an optimistic call here. I don't really feel like I would be making the call.
Matt Alexander folds now over to Roger. He doesn't have very many chips left, does he, Dutch?
No, he doesn't. He looks like he has the exact same hand as Travis.
He's got so few chips he can hold them all in his hand. They're not even stacked on the table anymore. And the flop is ace 8-7.
So this is going to do it for Roger.
Yeah, he's going to get them all in there. All the chips are in the middle.
He's making a stand with a 10-8, just any sort of connection with the flop. He's putting the rest of it in there, and this is kind of a worst-case situation for him. He doesn't even realize this. He's in much worse shape than he thinks because of Travis having the same hand.
Roger is from Kirksville, Missouri, and he told us beforehand that this is truly a dream for him to make it to an HPT final table, and the jack of clubs on the turn. So a glimmer of hope for Roger here with his gutter ball.
You can see he's pleased with it.
And it goes check, check. We go to the river card. No 9. It's the 5 of clubs. Koo's going to check. They're both going to check, and everybody's going to realize the winner of the hand is Koo.
And he takes it too.
And that's going to do it for Roger. Give him a big round of applause. He played great, and like I said, he just wanted to get to the final table, and he's going home with a nice little payday, not for nothing, just over $10,000.
And I think that once the pain of the knockout wears off, he'll be feeling pretty good about that.
Blinds 8,000, 16,000 with a 2K ante. Jaymz Larson, Dutch Boyd, hanging out in Altoona, Iowa, right here at the Prairie Meadows Racetrack Casino Hotel.
It really is a huge accomplishment just making it this far, making it to a final table. And all of these players now looking at some pretty significant pay jumps.
33.
Action to Rick. He's going to raise to $33,000 wearing his Skid Row Slave to the Grind t-shirt here. He woke up today and he says, I'm going to play on national television. Let me go to the closet. I see I've got a nice button down. I've got a Tommy Bahama polo. But no, I'm going to go with the Skid Row Slave to the Grind t-shirt.
You guys can't see this. James is actually wearing the exact same sweatshirt here in the booth with me.
I am a fan of the 80s metal. Michael's going to make the call with an ace-4 of clubs. And look at this, a 3-bet shove now by Steve.
So it's a pretty big shove by Steve, and I think that he's probably going to get called here by Richard.
Now, Steve did tell us before in his pre-interview that he's not going to grind. He's here to win the thing, and he shoves with pocket sixes. So right now he's in the lead and a classic race situation.
Yeah, and Steve, you can see he's happy with this because when he gets snap called by Rick, This is kind of a best-case scenario for it.
Thank you.
And the flop comes 2 5s and an 8 with a couple of clubs.
This is a great result right now for Steve. Just hoping that it holds. We'll see if he can keep that smile.
This is Steve's first HPT event. He's hoping to double up and keep his hopes alive. Another club now, this time the 7 of clubs.
And that's really good because now that takes away 2 outs from Richard's hand. Now he only has a 4-outer as opposed to 6 outs. So most of the time, Steve's going to slide through here. We'll see if he keeps the smile.
A pot of 331,000 chips, and the river card is the 8 of diamonds. So the winner of the hand is Steve. He's going to double through Rick. Steve's been smiling all day, though. This guy's been smiling since he got here.
You definitely be. It's easy to smile when your hand holds up and you win those flips. He called it in the air, and tails actually hit. So a good result for Steve.
All right, folks. Well, now it's time to step aside from the felt to bring you a segment we call A Poker Life with Doyle Brunson.
He is a living legend, and he's done so much for the game. I love Doyle.
And he's one of those players you really don't want to run into because he truly is a legend in poker, and his name says it all.
First time I ever played poker was we went to the state tournament in Texas. I guess that was in 1950. And some friends of mine played some poker, and first time they explained it to me, and I said, I think I maybe won a couple of dollars, and I liked the game and everything, but I didn't really get into it that year. But the next year, when I went to the Hardin Simmons University, I came in one night from a date, and they were playing, and I sat down. I remember I played all night, and that was my introduction, and I loved it.
Welcome back to the HPT. Jaymz Larson, joined by professional poker player Dutch Boyd, coming to you from Altoona, Iowa, right here at the Prairie Meadows Racetrack Casino Hotel. Before we get back to the action, I know you wrote a book. Did you happen to bring a copy along?
I always carry a copy with me everywhere I go, and here it is, Poker Tilt, just about my journey through the poker world, kind of coming up as a poker player, watching the industry really make some drastic changes. So it's an exciting time to be a poker player and to play this game that we love.
And I've always wanted to write a book, but it's got to be a very difficult process. In some ways, writing the book was probably harder than winning your first bracelet.
Well, it took longer. I will tell you this: it's taught me that it's much better to have written a book than be writing one. That's for sure.
Those are the final table stats. Your chip leader now is Travis Remmert.
And we see Steve, kind of in that danger zone of 12 big blinds, but even 12 big blinds still offers you quite a bit of play.
Under the gun is Rick. He's going to fold. Price of poker going up a little bit. Blinds now 10,000, 20,000 with a 3K ante. Rick folds, Michael folds, Steve folds. Now over to the chip leader. Travis from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, owns a software consulting business.
TravisSystems.com.
He's going to raise to 45,000. Action over to Matt Alexander. He's going to fold. Now over to Koo.
An ace-jack offsuit in a six-handed situation, it's a pretty strong hand. So it's not really a hand that you can fold here. So the question is, does he 3-bet or does he just call?
And Koo is just going to make the call from the big blind, and we go to the flop. It's ace 9-8.
So Koo should check here and give Travis an opportunity to c-bet. Too bad for Koo because Travis actually just smashed this flop with bottom 2 pair.
65.
So Koo checks. This is not going to be
This
not
is going to be a disaster for Koo.
It's a check and now a bet of 65,000 chips. I expect a raise now out of Koo, and
maybe Koo could just be check calling and planning on doing some sort of check raise on the turn.
He makes the call.
But yeah, this is going to be a disaster for Koo unless he's able to catch a jack or an ace right here.
No jack, no ace. That time the deuce of spades. Koo's going to check over to Travis. This is where those spidey senses really, you really need to have at least partial spidey sense to know where you're at.
I don't really think spidey senses are going to save Koo or anybody here. Travis firing out a bet, and Koo is at least going to call. It wouldn't really surprise me if Koo just goes ahead and check raises here too. He's got to put some draws in Travis's range, so we'll see. Yeah, and Koo can't get away from this hand, but you got to hand it to Koo, just making the call there. He's not really feeling too comfortable. We'll see. He can hit a 2. He can hit a jack. That's not going to do it. That 10 actually might save him some money, though, because I think Travis might just go ahead and check the river.
I'll check.
Yeah, both players check, and Travis is going to flip over his hand, and Koo's going to realize he just got out-flopped. He was behind pretty much after the flop all the way through.
I don't really love the check by Travis. I mean, that 10 does finish a lot of draws. He's so worried about getting check raised there that he doesn't get value out of his hand. And, I really feel like Travis just left a $250,000 chips there right in the table.
Didn't raise me.
Travis says he loves the people here on the HPT. He's going to pick his spots, and he's playing for first place. That's what he's playing for. He's not playing for 9th, 8th, or 7th. He said, I'm playing for first place, and he should be playing for first place. That's what you're here to do, my friend. So action will start with the man with the Titleist golf hat.
So I don't really know what I think about this one. Steve making it 60,000 here, which is about 3 times the big blind. He is the short stack here with 12 big blinds. So it's a really awkward stack and an awkward raise amount. I almost feel like with his stack, he's better off just shoving or folding.
And I talked about this before. Steve says he's not here to grind. He's going to get it in the middle, and he's going to try to take this thing down, maybe try to be a little aggressive, but not so much there. Flop comes down ace, jack, 8, rainbow.
And it's going to be really interesting to see how he plays this. I mean, he should go ahead and c-bet it, but, I mean, Travis with king 7 could easily push him off the hand.
Steve's going to bet 35,000 chips over to Travis.
And Travis feeling like Steve didn't connect, feeling like he can push him off somehow by making a float here. And that's what he does. He's calling here to bet on the turn if checked to.
King of diamonds now comes on the turn card.
And this is a really interesting turn because now that actually fouls his float plan, but it gives him second pair. And this is kind of the worst case scenario for Travis.
And Steve now is all in.
What a bad turn card for Travis. That's like the one turn card that would happen where now he's actually going to consider calling. But I think that if the turn comes anything except a king, queen, or 10, Travis ends up winning this hand, taking the line that he did. I think that if the turn comes a 7 of clubs, for example, Steve checks, Travis bets him off of the better hand.
And Travis is going to fold, and the winner of the hand from Omaha, Nebraska, Steve Pham. He's a real estate investor.
I like the creativity of Travis on that hand. I mean, he's not calling to hit a king or a runner flush there on the flop. He's calling to float. He does hit his king and still gets away from it when his opponent makes the shove.
Travis looks down at a hand we're seeing constantly here tonight on the HPT, King Queen. And he's under the gun, and he's going to raise to 45,000 with that King Queen.
We got Matt taking a look at ace-10 suited, giving it the whole card snap, making just a call.
Now over to Koo. Koo's going to fold. To Rick we go.
I ship all in.
And Rick says, I ship all in. You don't hear that every day.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
I don't think I have either.
15 years of poker, I've never heard someone say, I ship all in. And there it is, Rick. Trademark it.
It's Rick. I'm going to get some T-shirts.
Get yourself a lawyer right now. Yeah. I ship all in.
And then on the back, Skid Row.
a thing in poker.
Is it 254?
You know, good hand to do it with. And look at this. Matt's going to make the call, and he's not going to like what he sees here.
He's not going to like it at all. Rick's loving life. Rick's happy he shipped all in.
I always hit the
And I like Matt Alexander. He's just got a cool personality, a very relaxed, very reserved. You're not going to see too much emotion out of Matt Alexander. I love it. I wonder what Rick's listening to in the headphones. I want to make a guess. The flop is Queen 10-6.
Oh, that's pretty dirty. Pretty salty
really
there, Matt.
Yeah, really is.
Pretty salty there. So Richard not liking the result of that ship all in.
3 of spades now on the turn.
The ship is sinking, Rick.
It sure is.
Or a king.
That's right. Yeah. He also has a king.
Let's not take his outs away. And the river card is the Queen of Diamonds, and that is going to do it. Rick is eliminated. But, you know, what was cool about Rick is he started this final table as the short stack, and he moved himself up a couple of pay spots.
And you'll notice, I mean, he got it in really, really good there. You can't fault Matt for making the call with ace-10 suited, but that's such a bad beat.
All right, well, that's going to do it for Rick and the Skid Row T-shirt. He went in with the best of it, but Matt Alexander outflops him.
And sometimes, the cards just don't go your way. You get it in as a favorite. It's so determined by what comes on that flop.
But the good news is, Rick, just under $12,000, so it can buy plenty more of the 80s hair metal T-shirts if you're looking to do that with your money. When we come back, our final six will continue the battle. You're watching the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT. It's Jaymz Larson, joined by professional poker player Dutch Boyd. Before we get back to the action, Dutch, what do you think so far? And do you like sitting here up at the desk? And what do you think about being able to see these hole cards?
Well, this is pretty great. I've always been a huge fan of the HPT, and we're seeing a lot of really good action at the final table here.
And folks, if you're watching this show and you've never played an event, well, why not come out and give it a shot? Just log on to our website at www.hptpoker.com. Give it a shot, and who knows, maybe you'll be playing for the life-changing cash.
Looking at the chip counts, Travis Remmert is leading things, but right there in the middle of the pack is Matt Alexander. Never count this guy out. He won an HPT event back in 2010, and this is his fifth final table. So we continue the action. Blinds now 10,000, 20,000 with a 3K ante.
So would you say Matt's your pick to win this one?
Yeah, I don't always make a prediction, but his experience. I mean, a lot of these players have HPT experience, and their resumes speak for themselves, but I got to go with Matt Alexander. He knows how to get it done.
45.
So action is folded over to the small blind of Travis, and he's going to raise from the small blind.
And I like this raise, James, and I like the way that both of these players are moving chips. They're not just waiting around for premium hands. They know that, especially once you start getting short-handed, 5 players left, you really have to start, taking the action and taking the spots, taking the tournament instead of waiting for it to just be dealt to you. So Travis making the raise here, having the pre-flop initiative, you got to expect that he's going to go ahead and continuation bet. Unfortunately for him, Matt does have a 10 or an 8 in his hand. So, Travis is kind of thinking that he's going to go ahead and push Matt out unless Matt connected. Matt did connect.
110.
And Matt, defending his big blind, was rewarded on the flop, pairing his 10. The turn card now is the 9 of diamonds.
Now it's kind of interesting because now Travis is on a semi-bluff. That 9 gives him the open-ended straight draw. He also still has the pair of jacks as an out. A 7 would be a really interesting river card here and would really mess Matt up, I think.
Travis bets 110,000 chips, and Matt makes the call. So we go to the river. It's the queen of clubs. That completes the straight for Travis, but he checks.
I don't understand this. I mean, he can't really expect Matt to bluff a hand, and he can't expect Matt to bet worse. So, Travis semi-bluffs the turn and doesn't get any river value. We've seen this a couple times, Travis just not getting the river value. Matt actually can't even believe it. Not that he can't believe that he's losing the hand, but can't believe that Travis is just going to check when he actually hits his queen of clubs.
Do you think it could have been because the third club comes on the board?
I think that this is just an example of Travis being afraid of the monster under the bed. It's so easy to just start counting all the hands that beat you. You start thinking, okay, well, 7 hands beat me, but everything else you beat. There's so many more hands there where he can get value, and you just have to get river value. That river bet that you stand to collect from your opponent is always going to be bigger than the turn bet and the pre-flop bet and the flop bet. Because of the exponential nature of poker, it's just really important to, once you make that best hand, to go ahead and get the river value out.
And now Matt Alexander from the small blind is going to raise to 60,000 with his ace-4 of hearts. Action over to Koo in the big blind.
And you should be defending. It's short-handed. 6-7 offsuit isn't really anything to write home about. But he's going to have position, getting pretty good pot odds, and don't want to signal to the small blind that your big blind is up for grabs.
The flop is King 10 deuce, couple of diamonds. Action will start with Matt Alexander. He's from Minneapolis, Minnesota. He's got kind of a gang up there in Minneapolis. He's got his friends Jeremy Dresch and guys like that like to play around the Canterbury, and they travel all over playing HPT events. He won it back in 2010 for $48,521. Turn card, the 4 of diamonds.
I'm kind of surprised, really, that Matt didn't fire out a continuation bet, even though that's a pretty scary flop. The flop scares Koo as well. So Matt actually does hit his 4 here, but it's a scary 4. Now there's 3 diamonds out. He doesn't really know where he's at. He checks to Koo, and Koo is on complete air here. $72,000, about a half pot size bet. Trying to tell some sort of story. We'll see what Matt does. You gotta love this call by Matt. Sticky call by Matt. He's just not a believer.
Ku's been at this final table last year, right here in Altoona, where he finished second time. So experience, that's got a lot to do with final tables, having been there before. Now we go to the river card. It's the Jack of Diamonds.
See, this is kind of a good card for Ku because Matt is kind of putting Ku on some sort of combo draw when he makes the call on the turn. But now Matt looks like he's changing his mind about what he's putting Ku on. And now he's going to decide that Ku had him beat on the turn. He's going to try to turn his hand into a bluff. Matt, of course, has the best hand. We can see this.
Yeah, little does he know. He's over there with nothing.
It's so interesting, too, because if Ku could find a bluff here, he wins this pot. If Ku could just fire out, a half pot size raise there, Matt's going to give up that that pot.
And Ku's going to fold, so the winner is Matt Alexander, trying to win his second HPT title.
It's always fun to watch a player bluff with the best hand.
So we'll be right back after these messages. You're watching the HPT.
Welcome back to the HPT. My name is Jaymz Larson, joined by three-time bracelet champion and poker pro Dutch Boyd. Well, it's got to be nice when people introduce you as three-time bracelet champion.
It's nicer than 2,
Yeah.
Not as nice as 4, But yeah, it feels good to have been able to hang around this game so long and constantly prove that you can compete with the best in the world.
We started with 176 players. We are down to our final 5. Your chip leader is Travis Remmert. Now, a couple years ago, Greg Raymer won this event, but we had a couple big names in the field this week, Dutch.
Including my hometown champion, Blair Hinkle. Kind of sad when you can't even say you're the best pro from your hometown. Columbia, Missouri actually has 4 bracelets coming from Mizzou.
Blinds 10K, 20K, 3K ante. Action will start with Travis Remmert. He folds, Matt folds, now over to Ku. Looks down at Ace-Jack.
And this is going to definitely be a raise from the button. I mean, it's a very strong hand anyway, and 5-handed it starts to look like aces. And it's kind of interesting, those chips look like they were glued to his fingers.
Yeah, they kind of did. Going to raise to 43,000.
I'd expect Steve to go ahead and at least defend here. So Steve started the hand with about 20 big blinds. It's kind of an awkward stack. 3-betting here feels like it's a little optimistic. So just seeing a flop is fine. But it's starting to kind of get to the point where this is kind of a push or fold situation for Steve.
And the flop is Ace, Queen, 4. So good news for Steve, couple of hearts.
It's also really good news for Ku, who ends up flopping top pair. And this is actually going to be kind of problematic for Steve because it's kind of awkward. Ku here bets about half pot. So Steve's getting the right price to make the call here. The problem is that most of the time on the turn he's going to miss. And then what does he do? A lot of times he's just going to check and get blown off of his hand. So I like seeing him kind of play a little cautiously. So here he actually improves to a pair of 8s.
Turn card, the 8 of spades, like Dutch said. He now has a pair, but he's looking for a heart. He checks over to Ku, who's in the lead with his Ace-Jack.
Yeah, and this is just going to be a really tricky situation for Steve to play.
Now Ku's going to make a bet of 93,000 chips, so action back to Steve.
It's just so sick because at this point it's a third of Steve's stack to call, but he's getting the right odds to call. The chase is flush draw, chases, trips are 2 pair outs now. So now he's just kind of hoping for one of those 9 hearts or an 8 or a 7, or I'd expect that to be done with a hand.
And the river card, it's not a heart, it's the 6 of clubs.
So he's done with a hand. He completely whiffs it. He checks. You got to expect Ku to go for some value here, and maybe Ku might go for like a quarter-size pot or even less, because a half-pot size pet puts Steve all in. He does. He gets a little greedy.
Put them all in.
I kind of feel like Ku might have been able to get a call from Steve if he bet smaller. Maybe like the same amount he bet on the turn. Steve might have just gotten frustrated and.
I call.
Oh, he made the call.
He makes the call anyway.
Steve makes the call.
Wow. So he just decides that he puts his whole tournament life on the line with a pair of 8s, decided, just kind of hoping that Ku is not value betting the hand, is, just waking up with like a Jack 10 or a King Jack, King 10 kind of hand.
Wow, so that is going to do it for that man from Omaha, Nebraska. His first HPT event. Steve Pham going home 5th place, just over $14,000 in cash.
And that's all the time we have tonight on the HPT. But before we go, I want to talk about the play. A lot of action. We lost 5 players tonight.
Yeah, 4 players left, and it's interesting. 3 of those players have made HPT final tables before. We got Koo, who actually took second in this very event last year. Matt Alexander, who has an HPT championship. Amazing players. So a lot of experience, and I think that we're seeing that it really counts here at the final table.
Next week, we'll have the conclusion, and up top, just over $69,000. The minimum cash will be $19,000. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight on the HPT, and I say this each and every week. If you want to join us and play for this life-changing cash, why not give it a shot? Head on over to our webpage at www.hptpoker.com. For Dutch Boyd and Tiffany Michelle, I'm Jaymz Larson, and we'll see you next time on the HPT.